Yes, I am still alive. And yes, I'm also still playing ESO. Hey there, I'm FakeFox, and this is Update 40, everything you should know as a healer. So let's get started. In terms of new content, we are getting a completely new activity as well as class-specific item sets. Not a whole lot, but it's all part of the base game, no DLC purchase or ESO Plus required. Endless Archive is a 1 or 2 player arena that is, as the name suggests, endless, with increasing difficulty and randomization, kind of like a roguelite. I won't go into any more detail on the activity itself, but as you can imagine, with a maximum group size of 2, there isn't really space for healers. However, there is actually loot for healers. Endless Archive drops a new set type, class sets. 2 of them, those for Warden and Arcanist, are support sets. Since they are very similar, I will discuss both at the same time. Both are 5-piece sets that drop in all 3 armor types. Garden of Seasons, the Warden set, has Healing Done, Magical Recovery, and Weapon and Spell Damage as minor bonuses. The 5-piece bonus reads as follows. Equipping this set grants you Herald of Spring, causing your green balance overheals to apply minor heroism for 3 seconds. Casting 2 non-green balance class abilities within 2 seconds consumes Herald of Spring and grants you Harbinger of Fall for 6 seconds, causing your green balance overheals to create an 8-meter area for 5 seconds, applying minor cowardice to enemies and minor vitality to allies within. You can only create an area once every 5 seconds. You cannot gain Herald of Spring while Harbinger of Fall is active. The Arcanist set, Reawakened Hierophant, has 3 times Magicka, and as a 5-piece effect, casting a non-ultimate Creative Runeform ability grants an effect for 6 seconds to your affected allies based on how many Crux you had. At 1 Crux, allies gain a damage shield that absorbs 3618 damage. At 2 Crux, allies gain Minor Heroism, and at 3 Crux, allies gain Major Protection. Essentially, both sets are an overly complex way to buff Minor Heroism and some additional defensive effects that can't be active at the same time. None of the effects are particularly strong. There are significantly stronger, more convenient, and also more reliable ulti-gen as well as defensive support sets. From a group optimization standpoint, therefore, both sets are kinda trash. Gardener of Seasons can at least be used with a relatively normal rotation, and I can see it being an okay option for easier content. Reawakened Hierophant, on the other hand, requires a completely ineffective playstyle to even activate. I can't think of a reason to ever use it unless you want to add challenge to the game by playing a meme build, I guess. I love the idea of class sets, and I also like both sets in concept, but the implementation is just kind of bad, I think. If sets are class exclusive and relatively complex or micromanagement intensive, they should, in my opinion, provide a powerful and especially an exclusive effect and not just be another underperforming version of a set effect we already have like a dozen times. Moving on to itemization changes. Oh, wait, there are none. Okay, well, ability changes then. Firstly, support abilities no longer target pets under certain conditions. Most importantly, when they restore a resource or ultimate or buff an effect the pet otherwise gets from the player anyways. This should, at least in theory, fix pets taking away support from players. If you ask me, they should just make pets completely untargetable by allied players, but whatever. It's certainly better than nothing. Also, Blessing of Protection, aka Combat Prayer, was changed to completely ignore pets. You should still not expect perfect uptimes though, since pets were never the main issue to begin with. Hitting the same players over and over again is the real issue, but this should still help. Further, the target cap on a few support and healing ultimates was increased from 6 to 12. To be completely honest with you, I thought most of those were already targeting 12 players. I guess that just goes to show how insignificant these ultimates generally are for PvE. Vitalizing Glyphic, Magma Shell, and Gibbering Shelter are somewhat interesting though. Also, certain synergies were previously removing random effects from the players using them, which has been fixed now. This is actually a really important fix for Arcanist Healer specifically, since the Imperfect Ring is a crucial support ability and massively suffered from this. Continuing with Arcanist's ability changes, Gibbering Shelter now has a 4-second cooldown per target, up from 1 second. Combined with the increased target cap, this effectively halves the ability's maximum strength, but makes it more widely usable. I think this is overall a pretty good change, since there were only a handful of situations where Gibbering Shelter was outperforming Barrier, but in some of those it was just completely busted. Now it should be more balanced and also see a bit more use. That is already it for the Arcanist though. Overall, the class is certainly in a better position now, being a potentially strong healing class, but still behind other classes, especially with how popular DPS Arcanist is, and the Crux system remains complete garbage for PvE healing. Anyways, Dragon Knight received no healing or support changes. I think Dragon Knight Healer is overall fine. It's mostly held back by group compositions significantly favoring DD or Tank Dragon Knight. The overlap between damage, healing, and support morphs is also kind of an annoying thing, like Eruption being a crucial damage ability, but Cinderstorm an important hot. But all in all, the class is absolutely able to perform well, given the right group, aka a group without another Dragon Knight. Necromancer received no changes and stays dead in high-end content, pun fully intended. The class lacks relevant support and has pretty much nothing going for it apart from its insane old Legion and trash. I really hope Necromancer will return to its former glory someday. It's a natural healer class with a unique playstyle and will always have a place in my heart. No relevant changes for Sorcerer either. It's in an okayish spot, I think. It has a few things going for it, particularly in 4-player content. Only its healing class abilities kind of suck, but you can totally work around that with other abilities, so it's not really a big deal. It's mostly just another class that just doesn't fit well into group compositions, despite not actually being that bad. Templar received a minor buff. Restoring Aura's passive effects now work on both bars. That is a minor sustain boost for many builds. Templar is kind of in a weird position, I think, being really popular in casual play. I guess since it's kind of the stereotypical healing class and also pretty pleasant to play, but really falls off hard in more demanding content because it's severely lacking support. Warden's Sleetstorm now buffs the major protection to 12 players. I don't think that it is overly relevant. Barrier probably will remain the go-to defensive ultimate for most situations, but Warden remains the S-tier healing class regardless. A Warden is basically essential for every trial group, and as a healer it fits perfectly into the current compositions, and is also super powerful in just about every aspect. And finally, Nightblade, the only class that is not even mentioned in the patch notes, so logically nothing has really changed. While I wasn't completely sure about it when Arcanist was released, I am now confident again in saying Nightblade remains the second strongest healing class. Similar to Warden, it features a well-rounded kit with no major flaws and fits perfectly into the current meta group compositions, especially with the Arcanist stacking we currently see. And that was already everything that changed for healers with update 40. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Thanks for watching and bye.